People tend to come and just tell me things. And I'm very nosy by nature, very curious, and want to just know details of everybody's life and how they wound up where they are. And so social work seemed like a really good fit to blend a career and also my curiosity in knowing people's stories. I love what I do, that's for sure. It's very personally rewarding in being able to help an individual. And I get asked all the time by people I'm working with people experiencing homelessness, like, you're helping us, what do you get out of this? And what I get out of helping the people who are the unsheltered population is hearing their stories. That's what is the most rewarding part for me, is them sharing with me their stories, not just on how they became homeless, but everything. What part of San Antonio they grew up on. If they're not from San Antonio, where they came from. Just what in life has led them, the whole story on what in life has led them to where they are now. What was familiar with Albert was his hesitancy to accept help, and that went on for a long time. That went on for several months, and that's pretty common. And we're brought up and raised to see a government handout as bad, and so receiving help from the government, especially shelter, is like the ultimate handout. And so it's a very prideful thing to sit there and admit not only do you need help, but you need help with the basic functions of existing. So that's pretty common. Unique to Albert is the fact that he's a double amputee. He's got a chronic homelessness, 15 plus years, off and on heroin addiction, dating all the way back to 89. He's got zero well, I just recently found out he does have some family. It's like every time I meet him or meet up with somebody who's had a long relationship with him, it seems new information pops up. But Albert, he hasn't said everything, and I don't think he's hiding things. It's just we're not asking the right questions to get the answers. And the way he talks about his personal life, it's not that he's hiding things, but he's talking about his life and the way he knows it. So when I first met him, he told me his mother was dead, but then about 2 weeks before he was hospitalized, he told me his mom came to visit him. And that threw me for a loop. And it was, I thought you told me your mom was dead. And it's like, well, my birth mother came to visit me. She gave me up when I was born, and he was raised by his grandmother. But he didn't know that until he was an adult, that his grandmother wasn't his mother. But he grew up calling his grandmother Mom. And so when he told me that his mom died, to him, it's the woman he raised, not the person who gave birth to him. And that's common. You know, you refer to the people who raised you as mom and dad. But because I didn't ask or think to ask, is that the person who gave birth to you? He never thought to tell me she's my adopted mom. So it's definitely unique just because he does have a fantastic story, and it seems to grow every time I talk to him or somebody who's known him for a long time. So the Winter Storm Uri, it really highlighted a lot of issues within the San Antonio community as far as the unsheltered population. And there have definitely been moves to rectify that and help improve that situation. Just this past weekend, we did go into a freeze for a couple of days overnight, and some of the lessons we learned during Yuri have already been implemented. So there are churches who are operating during those freezing nights as impromptu shelters, where they're letting people, the unsheltered population, come in and stay warm and get a meal too, which is great and it's fantastic. The city now also has their own homeless division, their own outreach team, and we're out in the districts every day, the city districts every day. We know where a lot of these the unsheltered population are staying. So like just this past Sunday, I came in and I worked 5 hours in the late afternoon to offer to take people to some of the churches that were operating as warming centers, and also make sure that they had blankets, coats, mittens, beanies, and things like that in order to try and stay warm if they didn't want to go into a shelter. Some of which is to also help avoid them having to create fires, which can be dangerous for them and for everybody else. But the last thing we want to happen, especially as a community, is for a dangerous situation to happen because of the cold weather, whether it be an out-of-control fire where an unsheltered individual is hurt in the fire, or it spreads to somebody's house and somebody who is sheltered gets hurt, or worst case scenario, somebody stumbles across a body. And we definitely want to avoid that. And I think that the city's move in working with the religious sector and opening their doors to the community is a great move, and also creating their own homeless division and growing that division so that the city knows where these individuals are, so that we can go out in these extreme weather events and do what we can to ensure that they've got what they need to be where they need to be.